with our distinguished scientist who now is taking a deep dive into art and taking us along with him. Today's subject, something, if we follow the arts, we kind of grew up with, is the abstract expressionism of the mid-20th century. So you go ahead, Alex said.
Good morning. Thank you, Karen. And as Karen said, I'm diving into art, and I'm hoping you will not be drowned. So today I will discuss abstract art, and we'll start with Kandinsky as a father of abstract art. Abstract art uses visual language of shape, form, color, and line to create a composition which exists with a degree of independence from the visual references in the world. Western art had been, from the Renaissance up to the end of the 19th century, underpinned by the logic of perspective and an attempt to reproduce an illusion of visible reality. Later, many artists felt a need to create a new kind of art, which would reflect the fundamental changes taking place in technology, science, and philosophy. One example, of course, development of photography, where artists felt there is no need to more reflect on reality. Vasily Kandinsky was a Russian painter and art theorist. Kandinsky is credited as one of the major pioneers of abstraction in Western art. He was educated as a lawyer, but decided to follow his heart and went to art to the dismay of his wealthy parents. In 1896, Kandinsky settled in Munich, studying at the Academy of Fine Art. He returned to Moscow in 1914 after the outbreak of World War I. Following the Russian Revolution, Kandinsky became an insider in cultural administration and helped establish the Museum of the Culture of Painting. However, then, his spiritual outlook was foreign to the argumentative materialism of Soviet society, and opportunities beacon in Germany, to which he returned in 1920. There he taught at the Bauhaus School of Art and Architecture from 1922 until the Nazis closed it in 1933. He then moved to France, becoming a French citizen and producing some of his most prominent art. I will try to show the progression from more realistic art of early Kandinsky to completely abstract. This is an early work. He liked all the Russian themes, and he, in this painting called Sunday, you can see the crowd around the walls of Old City. Next, you can see the painting depicting some kind of imagery, blue mountain and trees, but they kind of fuse into big outline, semi-abstract tones. And here you see next one in progression, where you can literally see the abstract influence on landscape. Next progression, again, more and more towards abstraction expression. And finally, this iconic Kandinsky painting. It's called Painting with Red Stain. one of the masterpieces of Yuri Kandinsky. At the same time, he experimented with a large-scale painting, composition number 7. According to Kandinsky, this was the most complex art piece he ever painted. I believe it. Later, he experimented with lines and geometric forms and different colors. This one is yellow, red, and blue, and it's, I believe, in Pompidou Museum in Paris. Another painter was a Dutch, Piet Mondrian, who is regarded as one of the greatest artists of the 20th century. He transformed his artistic direction from figurative painting to an increasingly abstract style, culminating in a point where his artistic vocabulary was reduced to simple geometric elements. I'll start with this figurative painting, Willow Grove, Impressions of Light and Shadow, 1905. You can see basically a landscape with fall, winter landscape with shadows, lights, and trees and trunks. And this is a transformation of this landscape into abstract. The same color scheme, but you easily will see how Mondrian transformed this landscape to abstract painting. Further, the same color scheme, but more abstract description. And here we have colors appear. And on, until we can see Broadway Boogie Woogie, the famous painting when he was in New York. You immediately, although abstract, is linear, primary colors, but you can see easily the energy of New York on this painting. And this is his iconic composition number 2 in red, blue, and yellow, 1930. And it's historic painting because it's led made a significant impact on design. And mainly famous French designer Yves Saint Laurent in 1966 designed these dresses based on Mondrian paintings. They were very famous and fashionable. And this led to proliferation of tasteful and tasteless merchandise. Now we're going to the United States. Abstract expressionism in the United States emerged as a distinct art movement in the aftermath of World War II and gained mainstream acceptance in the 1950s, a shift from the American social realism of the 1930s, which was influenced by the Great Depression and Mexican muralists. The term abstract expressionism was first applied to American art in 1946 by the art critic Robert Coles. The New York School was the center of this movement. Raikhel is considered to be one of the founding fathers of abstract expressionism, and he was also a surrealist. He was also one of the first painters of this New York school. Gorky created broad fields of vivid, open, unbroken color that he used in many of his paintings as grounds. He consistently let paint run and breathe under and around organic and biomorphic shapes and delicate lines. This is what I mean, and this is his earlier work, more surrealistic in my opinion, and reminded roosters to me. And, oops, sorry. This is a painting where you can see dripping paint around biomorphic shapes. And this is my favorite Borges painting. Again, linear and curvature of shapes and reminiscent of mirror. Very beautiful painting. Paul Jackson Pollock was a major figure in abstract expressionist movement. He was widely known for his drip technique of pouring or splashing household paint onto a horizontal surface, allowing him to view and paint his canvases from all angles. It was called all-over painting and action painting because Pollock covered the entire canvas and used the force on his whole body to paint, literally boiling the paint. Pollock's work has always polarized critics and audiences alike. Some magazines published Pollock's caricatures as a chimpanzees splashing paint on a canvas. However, in other opinion, one critic decisively spoke about the transformation of painting into existential drama in Pollock's works, in which what was to go on the canvas was not a picture but an event. The gesture of the canvas was a sign of liberation from value, political, aesthetic, moral. And this is his earlier work. Again, you can see this biomorphic shapes, and in my opinion, the strong influence of Gorky, which I showed before. And this is a true Pollock, spraying colors around the canvas, and this was very controversial. Another painting with different color scheme, but the same principle of painting, action painting. And this is perhaps most famous Pollock's painting, Blue Poles. It is at the National Gallery of Australia. The painting was purchased by Australia for $2 million in 1973. It was extremely controversial, and Australian public was against it, spending so much money on art. It has become one of the most popular exhibits in the gallery for both its value as a major work of 1950 abstract expressionism and its significance in Australian politics and history. Estimates of the painting's present value is about 500 million. So, quite an investment. And this is this painting. It's a large and very impressive. William de Kooning was a Dutch-American abstract expressionist artist. De Kooning painted in a style that came to be known as action painting and was part of this group known as the New York School. De Kooning retrospective held in MoMA, Museum of Modern Art in New York, in 2011-2012 rendered him one of the best-known artists of the 20th century. This is an early work by de Kooning, Again, you can see this kind of shapes, biomorphic outlines with variety of colors, predominantly white. And again, I drew parallel with Gorky painting and emphasize the influence of Gorky and abstract expressionism. Now this is de Kooning's black and white period. Again, still the shapes and creeping colors. And this is most typical period. There are two paintings here. The typical for this period is wide fields of single color painted by white brushstrokes. You can see this is abstract art at its best. He also had a series of paintings dedicated to women, whether you like them or not. You probably would sit for painting like this, knowing how much it cost. So, and he had a portrait of Marilyn Monroe in 1954, at the peak of her career. And these examples of late de Kooning work, you can see how many versions of de Kooning. He produced 300 paintings during the last 10 years of his life. Highly productive artist. Now I will discuss several female artists in this movement. This is Helen Frankenthaler. She stands in front of a huge painting created by her. And this is one of the features of abstract expressionism, a movement, the size, sheer size of paintings, which is supposed to act on you through colors and size. Helen Frankenthaler was a major contributor to the history of post-war American expressionist abstract painting. Having exhibited her work for over 6 decades, she spanned several generations of abstract painters, while continuing to produce vital and ever-changing new work. Her art could be called lyrical abstraction. She used unfinished base, the canvas, and put water and diluted paint and allowed it to make this forms on a painting. The results is a lyrical painting, beautiful in essence. This is actually a woodblock print made by Helen, Japanese made. It's made on a wood, the same technique as Japanese make it. And she used 9 different wood blocks for different colors. And this is the result, Japanese made. It's very close to Japanese essence of beauty. The reds and bright blue. This again painting designed by diluted paint, and it's called The Universe. A very large painting which is supposed to affect your visual senses. And finally, a sharply different one is this. Stunning red, contrasting with greens. Another important artist from this period is John Mitchell. This is a series of her painting in sunflowers. You certainly see the influence of nature, but it's a very abstract painting. Her friend Elaine de Kooning, wife of Willem de Kooning, coined the term for her painting abstract impressionism. And that's what it is. This is John Mitchell with one of her paintings, and obviously you can see the influence of nature in her art. Mitchell was influenced by Monet, especially late Monet, where he kind of moved towards abstraction and his famous water lilies. And in 2016 or 18, I forgot, there was a big exhibit, retrospective, at the Foundation Louis Vuitton in Paris, Monet and Mitchell. This is paintings from this exhibit, Monet and Mitchell. You can see parallels and differences. And here again, a comparison between Mitchell's abstract art inspired by nature and late Monet, where he moved close to abstract art. Lee Krasner was a wife of Jackson Pollock and an artist. She stands here in front of her painting in pink, quite impressive painting. It's very large. I just want to show a portrait here. As a daughter of Jewish Russian immigrants, Krasner was wary of anything called American art. As a young artist in the 1930s, Krasner knew all about claims of an American painter and writer, Thomas Hart Benton, who the true American experience could never be painted by migrants, leftists, or Jews. Born Lena, Krasner adopted the less ethnically specific name Leonore as teenager, which later he shortened to Lee. At the height of the Cold War, the FBI opened a file on Krasner under the name Mrs. Jackson Pollock and suspected her of being a spy. That was not as kind of unique. Many intellectuals, many creative people, and just people were investigated by FBI. And this is her painting, abstract in brown and blue. Well, back to the Boys Club. Robert Motherwell was an American abstract expressionist painter, printmaker, and editor of Dada Painters and Poets, an anthology. Trained in philosophy at Harvard, Motherwell later became an artist regarded as the most articulate spokesman of the abstract expressionist movement. He was known for his series of abstract paintings and prints that explored political, philosophical, and literary themes, including the elegies for the Spanish Republic. This is a Robert Motherwell. By the way, he was a partner of Helen Frankenstein, and he's surrounded by his paintings. And this is most famous painting by Robert Madrigal elegy to the Spanish Republic of 1971. You might recall another Picasso's painting, Guernica, dedicated to the same tragedy. And they are very different, but they both reflect the horrors of collective punishment. And this is his work, which is astonishingly beautiful because of colors. Red, blue, yellow, black. Franz Klein is recognized as one of the most important artists of this movement, and his painting he was influenced by Japanese calligraphy. His paintings are deceptively subtle and have a spontaneous dramatic impact. Klein's work were meant to look as if they were done at the moment of inspiration. However, each painting was carefully explored before his brush touches the canvas. This is one of them, orange outline. You clearly recognize the influence of calligraphy here. So here you can see another painting by Klein, clearly reflecting on calligraphy, and little kids enjoying looking at it and wondering whether they can do the same. I once said, it's easy. Just have a brush stroke. Mark Rothko. His name was Markus Yakovlevich Rostkovich. He was born in Russia in Jewish family. And he was best known for his color-filled paintings, which depicted irregular and rectangular regions of color that he produced from his late in life, second part of his life. And although Rothko did not personally subscribe to any school, he clearly associated with American abstract expressionist movement. And this is his paintings. There are two of them here, and you can see this rectangular different color on a red background. His paintings now very popular. Major museums have large collections and continuous exhibits. There's two other in orange and yellow. And others. Currently, there's a large retrospective in Florence. This is paintings in a palazzo, I forgot the name, it doesn't matter. And you can see the scale of these paintings. I would ask our organizers to make a tour to Florence for us to see what. Do you support me?
Here. I second it.
Okay. Another painter, which is regarded as a color field painter, is Barnett Newman. His painting explored a sense of place that viewers experience with art and incorporate the simplest forms to emphasize this feeling. He was influenced by the Russian painter Alexander Rodchenko, particularly his work, Primary Colors. This is a work under the photograph of Newman. And this is Newman's work influence you by sheer size and color. If you sit in front and look at the red and just imagine kind of a soft music corresponding to this red, and suddenly you have a vertical line of high note, pink, white, boom, purple, boom, and boom. So the interruption of red, calm environment. This is his experimentation of different colors. And again, a large color-filled painting in blue. And this young lady is enjoying the silence. In blue silence. Ed Reinhardt was an American abstract painter and art theorist. As a theorist, he wrote and lectured extensively on art and had a major influence on conceptual art, minimal art, and monochrome painting. The most famous of his work are black or ultimate paintings. Reinhardt was influenced by Kazimir Malevich, the Russian painter. And I want to refer to Malevich's Black and Square, which was an instrumental in Reinhardt's development. In 1915, this work is considered a seminal work of abstract art. Malevich aimed to express pure artistic feeling, free from representational forms. The black square symbolizes a break from the traditional art and a new artistic direction. And this is Ed Reinhardt paintings black on black. Even a floor in this exhibit is black. You can see variations of black color on these paintings. And I think it's totally beautiful. It's a matter of opinion, of course, but this is a specific kind of beauty. This is his experimentation on a variety of shades of a different color, blue in one painting, black, and red. And as he advocated minimalism, minimalism was a part of reaction against painterly abstract expressionism that had been dominant in the New York school during the 40s and 50s. Dissatisfied with the intuitive and spontaneous qualities of action paintings and abstract expressionism more broadly. Minimalism asserted that the work of art should not refer to anything other than itself, should omit any extra visual associations. But it's even hard to understand, and this is what it is. Russian artist Kazimir Malevich, white on white, on 1915. And now, present minimalist art painting, it's a white canvas. Certainly it's taken too far, and I don't want to conclude my lecture with white canvas. And we are going to France to meet Yves Klein, a French artist who created the novel blue color, reminiscent of Renaissance lapis lazuli. Here, Yves Klein standing in front of a large abstract blue painting. The blue here is not exactly what it is in reality. fascinating. That was a new type of blue color, and it made him famous. Unfortunately, he died at the age of 32. Some people considered he was poisoned by this new paint. And this is another painting by him, a large scale painting, which was sold for whatever millions, 12 or 14 million dollars. And this is his art, abstract art. Now we are going to Germany and meet Gerhard Richter. And this is his abstract painting. Gerhard Richter is considered among the most important living contemporary artists and is a critical figure in post-war German art. Throughout his prolific career, he has demonstrated tremendous artistic range, shifting between figurative and abstract painting. Richter was born in 1932 in Dresden, Germany. As a child, he experienced the bombing of Dresden by the Allied forces in 1945. It proved to be an important event in Richter's life. Later, he defected to the West, to West Germany, to exercise freedom of expression and had the reason to chronicles. This is one of his painting, Clouds. And to me, this is the effect of Allied bombing. Just a look at this dark clouds and different color on the canvas. This is purely abstract, two different paintings in a yellow tones, characteristics for Richter. And this beautiful painting in bright red and gentle blue tones. This is the artist painting a large canvas. As many abstract artists, the size of works are quite amazing. Similar to Chagall, Richter participated in restoration of cathedrals, in his case, German cathedrals. And one of the remarkable work is a Cologne Cathedral, the most famous German cathedral. And this is stained glass by Richter. It consists of many octagonal different color glasses, and it looks like dizzy impression. It's optical illusion. It's quite beautiful. And finally, I would like to finish my talk with his Richter's painting, which is titled "Art is the Highest Form of Hope." And I want to rephrase it by saying human creativity is the highest form of hope. Thank you very much.
So I remember when I used to practicing like the American Medical Journal would occasionally have an artist thing in front and discuss the artist, and they had that in back. And there was one they had a picture painted by Jackson Pollock on it, and they talked to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist recognized that he was working out some problems in his art, so it didn't mess with it.
Anyone else? If anyone is interested interested, there's an exhibit at Sam right now. Franz Klein, and there's a Mark Rothko, not in my opinion, a very good one, kind of small. And maybe a few others, but I don't think I remember any of the others. Anyone else have?
So one thing that's very hard to appreciate in the slide presentation is the size of some of these reductions. Like, could you give us a rough idea
That's true.
of feet? Like,
I'm not good at feet. So
So
still,
how about meters?
Well, why don't you go to a painting that has a human figure?
yeah. That's a good idea.
I think one of the things that Mark Rothko is most best known for is the chapel that he did
Yes.
in Houston at the Menil.
Yeah.
It's really incredible.
There's a very similar exhibit in Tate Gallery in London, where you enter and you are surrounded by Rothko's paintings. Very similar effect as in Houston. Thanks for this comment.
Just another aside, Jackson Pollock was supported financially by Peggy Guggenheim.
You're right, right.
And if you go to the Guggenheim Museum in Venice, you'll see some of his bigger works and also an interesting discussion of her quote-unquote influence on him.
Yes, and I read that she conflicted with Pollock's wife for whatever reason. I don't remember, but it was not friendship.
Alex, how many of these paintings have you actually seen in person? All of them? Or
Not all of
most
them, of
And,
course. But I basically saw most of these artists, but not the paintings, yes.
Where do you see art moving beyond abstract expressionism? Is this what we're in
Wow,
now? Or?
this is a high-loaded question. I'm not visionary, and there are many directions now, and it's very hard to see the modern art and predict who will become famous. You know, like, good example, Impressionists, people bashing them, and now we see them sold for millions or many millions of dollars. We are ordinary people. We cannot predict what will become famous. Sometimes we see our contemporary work and say, I don't understand, it's total nonsense. And this nonsense in 50 years becoming totally famous. So.
I completely agree with you, and I think that as I look back at these paintings, and those were what we studied in our history class when I was in college, it was really kind of a high point, I think. But I think one of the things that's very difficult and challenging, you did a great job, but you can't comprehend the impact. I think a lot of modern art, some huge, large-scale stuff, modern art, is simply impact. I'm wondering if that is not a natural human response to being ignored. For artists who are not well rewarded for much of our history. Some of them they were patronized by royalty, but it's been a tough life, and then you have a lot of that pent-up energy that gets perhaps expressed in some of this. Any thoughts?
any of the artists among us want to make a statement? Alex, thank you very much. Thank you.